If you're old and you masturbate, I'm sorry to tell you this. Hey there, welcome. I want to start by asking you something that might feel a little uncomfortable at first. How do you feel about the topic of self-love, particularly when it comes to something many of us shy away from talking about? Masturbation. I know. This is a topic that can make even the most open-minded person squirm a little. But let's face it, there's a lot of misinformation, shame, and silence surrounding this subject, especially when it comes to older people. But why is that? Why do we, as a society, think that certain things that are natural and human, are only okay at certain ages? It's as if once you hit a certain milestone, you're suddenly supposed to throw out your desires, your needs, and your pleasure. You stop being a sexual being just because you're older. Is that true? Should that be the case? Well, let me tell you, it's absolutely not true. In fact, it's a lie we've been sold for too long. In this video, I'm here to break that silence. We're going to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention, yet affects so many of us, regardless of age, self-love, and sexuality in older age. You're not too old for this. Your body doesn't stop needing pleasure just because you've lived through more years than others. This video is all about reclaiming that power, embracing who you are, and rejecting the outdated ideas that hold us back. If you've ever felt awkward about this topic or had moments of doubt about your own needs, you're not alone. It's time to start a conversation that needs to happen. So let's dive into this. No shame, no judgment, just real talk. So grab a seat, get comfy, and let's change the narrative together. Let's break down the walls of embarrassment and start embracing our bodies at every age. Ready? Let's get to the point. Part 1. The stigma surrounding age and self-love. All right, let's start by addressing something that's been ingrained in us for years. The belief that aging means letting go of certain parts of our identity, especially our sexuality. Society tells us that as we get older, we're supposed to lose interest in sex and, by extension, self-love. Have you ever heard someone say, "You're too old for that"? Maybe not directly, but you've definitely felt it in the way society views aging and sexuality. It's as if the clock ticks down to a moment when you stop being a sexual being. And let's be honest, we see it all around us. TV shows, movies, advertisements. There's very little representation of older adults owning their desires and engaging in healthy personal pleasure. But why does this happen? Why is there such a heavy stigma attached to older people enjoying their bodies and maintaining their sexual well-being? Well, let's talk about where this stigma comes from. Historically, societies have had rigid views of aging. When you were young, you were supposed to be energetic, spontaneous, and full of life, and that included your sexuality. But as you grew older, things changed. You were expected to slow down, to take on more mature roles, and, well, become less active in a lot of areas, including your sexual life. I know I'm not the only one who's noticed this. For many of us, the topic of self-love in older age is treated like a joke or something inappropriate. People laugh it off like it's a joke that's just not worth taking seriously. And that's the problem. These are the attitudes that isolate older adults and make them feel like they're somehow wrong or out of touch when they still have sexual needs and desires. This stigma doesn't just exist in the external world. Many of us internalize these ideas, questioning whether we should even want to engage in self-love once we're past a certain age. Am I too old for this? We ask ourselves. Is it inappropriate? We've all been taught to repress these feelings. But here's the truth. It's natural to want connection, intimacy, and pleasure, at any age. And I get it. Even the thought of talking about this in public might make you uncomfortable. Maybe you're worried about being judged, or you think people might laugh at you for enjoying something so natural. But I want you to know that you're not alone. That discomfort? It's what society has taught us to feel. We need to unlearn that and begin talking about it openly. Because the more we do, the more normal it becomes. Personal reflection. I felt it too. I've wondered if I was too old for certain things, or if I should be embarrassed about it. But here's the truth I discovered along the way. The power to accept yourself doesn't have an expiration date. We are all allowed to have desires, to explore our bodies, and to enjoy self-love at any point in our lives. The more we push against these stigmas, the more we help ourselves and others feel free. Part 2. Why it's normal and healthy at any age. Now that we've addressed the stigma, let's take a moment to dive into why self-love is not just normal at any age, but actually healthy and beneficial, physically and mentally. Let's start with the biology of it. Did you know that your body doesn't stop needing pleasure just because you've reached a certain age? The truth is, our bodies are designed to experience pleasure throughout our entire lives. Whether you're 18 or 80, the mechanics of sexual function and self-love remain relevant. Your body still produces hormones, responds to stimuli, and benefits from the release of tension and stress through pleasure. In fact, studies have shown that sexual activity, including masturbation, can boost your mood, reduce stress, help you sleep better, and even improve your immune function. So let's talk about these benefits for a second, because they're pretty amazing. Stress relief. Engaging in self-love can trigger the release of endorphins, your body's natural, feel-good chemicals. These can help reduce anxiety, depression, and stress, which is especially helpful in the fast-paced, often overwhelming world we live in. Better sleep. If you've ever had trouble falling asleep, you might have noticed that self-love can help you relax. It's not just about pleasure. It's about the sense of calm and relaxation your body experiences after an orgasm. This calming effect can lead to deeper, more restful sleep. Improved mood. We all have our ups and downs, and self-love can help balance out those mood swings. Masturbation can help release pent-up tension, leaving you feeling more emotionally centered and even happier. Pain relief. It might sound strange, but self-love can actually be a great way to manage pain. Orgasm releases endorphins, which can serve as natural painkillers. For people who deal with chronic pain, it can be a safe and effective way to relieve discomfort. And here's something many people overlook. It's not just the physical benefits, but also the mental ones. Engaging in self-love, regardless of your age, is a way of taking ownership of your body. It's an act of self-care that reinforces body positivity and allows you to connect with yourself on a deeper level. Now, let's talk about why this isn't just about pleasure. It's about health. When we talk about masturbation or self-love, it's easy to view it as just an act of personal enjoyment. But there's more to it. It's a way of staying in tune with your body, understanding what makes you feel good, and giving yourself permission to enjoy that pleasure. In a world that's always telling us to look outward for validation, self-love is an inward act of acceptance and self-respect. It's your body telling you, I am worthy of pleasure, I am worthy of care. So why let age be a barrier? Why let society tell you that you're too old for this when your body still responds, still craves that connection, and still deserves that care? The truth is, embracing your sexuality at any age is a beautiful form of self-respect. Personal story. I remember feeling awkward about this subject when I was younger, afraid that as I aged, I would grow out of needing or wanting pleasure. It felt like society was always sending the message that my desires should wane as I grew older. But, as I matured, I realized that my body's needs didn't disappear. They just evolved. And that evolution was something to embrace, not fear. Part 3. Navigating the journey of acceptance. Now, here's where things can get a little tricky. Accepting the idea of self-love, especially as we get older, is not always as easy as it sounds. We live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with expectations, societal norms, and an unspoken set of rules about what we should and shouldn't do at different stages of our lives. And if we're being honest, this can mess with our heads. So, let's take a step back and talk about the internal struggle many of us face when it comes to self-love in older age. We might be well into adulthood, but that doesn't mean we've magically mastered the art of self-acceptance. Many of us, whether consciously or subconsciously, still wonder if it's okay to have sexual desires and, more importantly, to fulfill them. It's almost as if we feel the need to justify it. When we're younger, Self-love is often viewed as just a normal part of growing up. But when we age, the narrative shifts. We begin questioning whether we're still allowed to enjoy the same things we did when we were younger. Is it okay for me to feel pleasure at this stage in my life? You might ask yourself. These thoughts are natural, especially in a world that seems to favor youth over maturity. But here's the key to navigating this journey. You are never too old to embrace your sexuality. It's a fundamental part of who you are, and it doesn't disappear just because you get older. The truth is, many people face these doubts at every stage of life, and it's okay. The important thing is that we allow ourselves the space to grow and evolve, to be curious about our bodies, and to accept that our desires may change, but they are still just as valid. Overcoming guilt and shame. One of the biggest barriers people face when it comes to self-love is the feeling of guilt or shame. These emotions are so deeply rooted in us that we may not even realize how much they affect our ability to truly embrace our desires. Many of us were raised in environments where talking about pleasure was considered taboo, and those societal pressures can stick with us throughout our lives. The first step in overcoming these feelings is recognizing them. If you've ever felt guilty about self-love, you're not alone. Society teaches us that it's something to be ashamed of, something private that should be hidden. But I'm here to tell you that guilt and shame have no place in our journey of self-acceptance. Pleasure is a natural, healthy part of life, and there's no reason to hide it or feel bad about it, especially when it's a source of well-being and joy. Supportive environment. Another crucial aspect of this journey is creating a supportive environment, both internally and externally. It's not just about fighting off guilt or shame. It's about surrounding yourself with the right energy. This means seeking out spaces, conversations, and people who help reinforce the idea that self-love and personal pleasure are perfectly normal at any age. Internally, this could mean working through those deeply ingrained feelings of doubt and replacing them with affirmations of self-worth. It's a journey of self-compassion, reminding yourself that you deserve to feel good, to take care of your body, and to explore your desires. Sometimes, that means consciously telling yourself, "It's okay, I'm allowed to enjoy this." Externally, it's about fostering relationships that are supportive and understanding. We live in a world that's so focused on physical appearance, and sometimes that can create a divide between what we feel inside and what we're told we should look like on the outside. But when we embrace these conversations with people who truly get it, who accept that we, as humans, deserve pleasure at all stages of life, that's when true growth happens. Personal story. I'll admit, I've had my own battles with acceptance. There were times when I questioned whether it was okay to still have these needs and desires. I remember thinking, is this normal for someone my age? But as I started to let go of those doubts and listen to my body, I realized just how important it was to honor my needs. In doing so, I found myself living more freely, without the burden of shame or self-judgment. So if you're on that journey of acceptance right now, I want you to know that you're not alone, and it's completely normal to feel uncertain or vulnerable. But trust me when I say that this journey is one worth taking. You are allowed to have pleasure. You are allowed to embrace your sexuality, and you are allowed to experience self-love, no matter how old you are. Part 4. The importance of understanding and empathy. Here's where we take things to a deeper level. We've talked about the stigma, the journey of self-acceptance, and the importance of embracing self-love at any age. But now let's talk about the role of empathy, not just toward ourselves, but also toward others. This isn't just about individuals breaking free from societal norms. It's about creating a more understanding, open environment for everyone. Empathy and compassion. One of the most beautiful aspects of this conversation is the ability to empathize with others. Whether they're struggling with the same issues you are, or they've never had to question their self-love journey at all. Empathy is about understanding and connecting, rather than judging. It's about recognizing that everyone's path is different, and that each of us has our own unique relationship with our body and sexuality. It's so easy to become judgmental, especially when we feel uncertain or uncomfortable about a subject. But when we approach these conversations with empathy and compassion, we not only help ourselves heal, but we also help create a space where others can feel safe to do the same. Community building. By speaking openly about these topics, we not only encourage our own growth, but we also contribute to building a community that normalizes these experiences. There's power in collective healing. When we share stories and struggles, we remind each other that we're all human. We all have our insecurities, our doubts, and our desires. And by creating these safe spaces, we reduce the isolation that so many people feel about their sexual health and self-love. Think about it this way. If we can normalize these conversations and bring more people into the fold, we can slowly shift the narrative. This is how we start to create a world where age doesn't define our worth, our bodies, or our desires. It's about tearing down the walls of judgment and replacing them with understanding. Call for open conversations. So I urge you, start talking about it. I know it might be awkward at first, but it's necessary. This conversation isn't just for you. It's for everyone who feels they have to hide a part of themselves because society hasn't given them permission to fully live. The more we open up about our experiences and feelings, the more others will feel empowered to do the same. It's about creating a culture of respect, kindness, and self-love. By changing the way we speak about these things, we can start to see shifts in attitudes, and, ultimately, in how we view ourselves and others. We can change the conversation from one of shame and silence to one of empowerment and connection. Part 5. Takeaways from this journey. As we reach the halfway point in our conversation, it's time to reflect on everything we've discussed so far. We've explored the stigma around age and self-love, the importance of accepting our desires at any stage in life, and how empathy and understanding can shape a healthier, more inclusive world. Now, I want to share a few key takeaways that I believe are crucial as we continue on this journey together. 1. You are not defined by your age. This is probably the most important takeaway. Society might have its own rigid ideas about aging and what's appropriate at certain stages, but those ideas don't have to dictate your life. Your age doesn't define your desires, your body, or your worth. No matter how old you are still a person with needs, emotions, and yes, sexual desires. Your body and your mind are capable of experiencing pleasure, growth, and joy, just as they did when you were younger. What I've come to realize, through personal reflection and seeing others on similar journeys, is that age is just a number. The human experience is vast, and our ability to love ourselves and feel joy doesn't fade with time. It evolves, it deepens, and it can become even more fulfilling as we embrace who we are at every stage. 2. Self-love is an act of self-respect. Masturbation, or self-love, is not something we should feel ashamed of. In fact, it's one of the healthiest forms of self-care. It's a way to connect with our bodies, to understand our own desires, and to celebrate the beautiful, complex individuals we are. Self-love is not just physical, it's emotional and psychological too. It's about saying, I am worthy of pleasure. I am worthy of taking care of myself. When you make self-love a part of your routine, it's an act of self-respect. It's a way of telling your body that you see it, you appreciate it, and you cherish it. And that is so important at any age, especially as we get older and the world around us tries to make us feel invisible or irrelevant. 3. Challenging shame leads to empowerment. Guilt and shame don't belong in our lives, especially when it comes to something as natural as self-love. The more we allow ourselves to be free from these feelings, the more empowered we become. Yes, it's hard at first. Yes, the process of unlearning all the toxic messages society has given us takes time. But every step you take toward self-acceptance is a victory. If you're struggling with shame or guilt, I want to encourage you to take small steps. Start by being kinder to yourself and remind yourself that pleasure and self-care are nothing to be ashamed of. Once you begin to break free from these feelings, you'll realize how much lighter you feel and how much more freedom you have in embracing who you truly are. 4. Surround yourself with support. It's crucial to create an environment where you feel safe and supported. This might mean having conversations with people who understand and respect your journey, or if you don't have those people around you, seeking out communities that embrace these topics with compassion and respect. Self-love doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in connection. So whether it's with a partner, a close friend, or a community of like-minded individuals, find those who will support you and encourage you as you embrace your own path towards self-acceptance. Remember, you deserve to feel supported and loved as you navigate these aspects of your life. 5. We're all on a journey together. Finally, understand that this journey is not one you're walking alone. We all have our struggles, our doubts, and our personal battles. Some days will be easier than others, but what's important is that we stay committed to understanding ourselves and rejecting harmful societal messages that try to define us. The more we share our stories and listen to others, the more we realize that we're all connected in this experience of growth and self-love. Part 6. Conclusion and closing thoughts. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. You are not defined by your age, and your desires are valid at every stage of life. Self-love, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, is something every single one of us deserves. There's no magic age when you stop being a sexual being. Your body is yours, always, and it deserves love, care, and attention, no matter how many birthdays you've celebrated. Over the course of this video, we've explored the myths, the challenges, and the journey of embracing self-love in older age. I hope this conversation has sparked something inside of you, something that encourages you to look at yourself with kindness, with understanding, and with a sense of acceptance that you might not have felt before. A message to you. If you've ever felt embarrassed or ashamed of your desires, I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel vulnerable. And it's okay to take time to accept this part of yourself. But also, it's important to recognize that you are worthy of pleasure. Your needs are valid. Your body is deserving of care. And you are allowed to live your life freely and fully at any age. I encourage you to take the lessons from this conversation and apply them to your life. Don't be afraid to have these tough conversations with yourself and with others. Don't be afraid to explore what self-love means for you. And above all, remember that you are never too old to feel joy, to feel connection, and to feel pleasure. The journey of embracing your body and your desires doesn't have to end when you reach a certain age. It can just be the beginning of a new chapter. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for opening your heart to this conversation. I hope it has given you the courage to embrace your true self without shame or hesitation. If you feel inspired, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because we all deserve to be seen, heard, and understood. Take care of yourself, and remember, you are worthy of all the love and pleasure the world has to offer, no matter what age you are. Part 7. QA or interaction segment. Optional. At this point, I want to take a moment to engage with you directly. I know this is a deeply personal subject, and I'm sure many of you have your own thoughts, feelings, or questions about what we've covered so far. This is the part of the video where we can really connect and have a two-way conversation. After all, this journey isn't just mine, it's ours. Viewer engagement. So, let's dive into some of the questions I've received from you all, or even some that I imagine you might have been thinking about as we've gone through this conversation. If you're watching live or have questions in the comments, feel free to ask anything. But I also want to make sure I address the common things people are often hesitant to ask. Question 1. I feel like I should be ashamed of my desires because of my age. How do I overcome that guilt? First of all, you're not alone. So many people struggle with this, and it's completely normal to feel conflicted. But here's the truth. Guilt and shame around self-love are learned behaviors, often ingrained through society's unrealistic expectations. They don't belong to you. A powerful way to start overcoming them is to remind yourself daily that your body and your needs are natural and valid. Think of it as a practice in self-compassion. Just as you would show kindness to a friend, show it to yourself. Question 2. How do I bring up this conversation with others? It's hard to talk about self-love with people I care about. This is a tough one, I know. It can feel intimidating to break that silence. But the key here is starting slow. If you don't feel ready for an open discussion, perhaps try expressing your thoughts through writing first, or by sharing articles, videos, or resources that align with your perspective. If you feel comfortable, try leading with vulnerability, opening up about your own journey, or simply sharing how important self-love is for your well-being can help others feel more comfortable too. Question 3. Does self-love really have health benefits as we age? Absolutely. As we've talked about earlier, self-love can reduce stress, improve sleep, and even relieve pain. It's a form of self-care, and it has emotional, physical, and mental health benefits, especially as we grow older. Many studies show that maintaining a positive relationship with your body can help reduce the risk of mental health struggles like depression and anxiety, which are common in older age. So yes, it's not just about pleasure. It's about taking care of yourself holistically. Question 4. I'm scared of how others might judge me. How do I stop worrying about that? This is something many people fear, especially when it comes to deeply personal topics. The first thing I would say is, stop focusing on what others might think. It's your body, your desires, and your life. Let go of the societal standards that tell you how to live or feel. When you focus on your own self-worth and find acceptance within yourself, others' judgments lose their power. It's not easy, but with time and practice, it gets easier to block out the negativity and start living for yourself. Question 5. How can I start this journey of self-acceptance and healing? It starts with small steps. Start by acknowledging your own worth and reminding yourself that your desires are part of what makes you a human being. Read books, watch videos, or listen to podcasts that reinforce body positivity and self-love. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and avoid toxic environments or individuals who make you feel ashamed. And finally, practice self-compassion. Give yourself permission to feel pleasure, to love your body, and to embrace every stage of your journey. Part 8. Conclusion and closing thoughts. We've come a long way, haven't we? From breaking the silence on age and self-love to understanding the deep connection between our physical, emotional, and mental well-being, I hope this video has empowered you to see yourself in a new light. Final thoughts. The one thing I want you to take away from all of this is this: you are never too old to feel pleasure, to experience joy, and to embrace who you are. Whether you're 30, 50, 70, or beyond, your body is a beautiful, complex thing that deserves love and care. Your sexuality, your desires, and your pleasure do not have an expiration date. Self-love is not just a physical act. It's a state of mind. It's about accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all, and treating yourself with the respect you deserve. It's about acknowledging your own needs and desires, and giving yourself permission to experience pleasure at every stage of life. This is a message that, as we've seen, needs to be shared widely and openly. Actionable advice. So, what can you do next? Here's what I suggest. Start by practicing self-love daily, even if it's just taking a few minutes for yourself, whether that's a relaxing bath, meditation, or simply saying kind words to yourself. Be open to the conversations. You don't have to tackle everything at once, but allow yourself to talk openly about your desires and experiences with those you trust. Let go of shame. Remember that your body is yours, and your pleasure is your right. No one can take that away from you unless you let them. Support others. Share what you've learned with those around you. Share this video, talk to your friends, and create a safe, open environment for everyone to feel accepted and loved. Call to action. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who might benefit from it. Whether it's a friend, family member, or someone who just needs a little reminder that their desires matter, Your act of sharing could help break down even more walls of shame. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more content on embracing self-love, body positivity, and personal growth at any age. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time to join me on this journey. Remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you deserve to experience joy at every stage of your life. Let's keep this conversation going. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.